Attention, Mountaineer family. The commencement ceremony is about to begin. At this time, please locate the nearest emergency exit. Please silence your cell phones, tablets, and electronic devices and turn your attention to the outstanding students who are the focus of this day. This is their moment to shine, so please give them and their many accomplishments your full attention. Now, let's get ready to welcome our graduates.
Please welcome West Virginia University School of Medicine Professional Programs candidates for graduation. Carrying a green banner, offering the Bachelor of Science, Master's, and Doctoral degrees in Exercise Physiology. Exercise physiologists merge the science of human body function and structure with the science of exercise to help prevent and combat disease and encourage individuals to stay active throughout their lives. An exercise physiologist may be engaged in a new research discovery or applying research findings in ways that help someone train for the Olympics, rise above stroke complications, recover from a heart attack, or conquer the restrictions of diabetes, cancer, and aging. For exercise physiologists, it is all about preventing disease, overcoming disease limitations, and helping individuals achieve a healthier, longer, and more active life. Carrying a gold banner offering the Bachelor of Science in Immunology and Medical Microbiology from the Department of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology. Immunologists and medical microbiologists work to improve our understanding of how our bodies protect us against infections and how bacteria and viruses cause disease. Upon graduation, they can pursue careers in medicine, dentistry, or industry. Others contribute to cutting-edge research that develops improved vaccines and therapies to improve health. Carrying a green banner offering the Bachelor of Science degree in Medical Laboratory Science from the Department of Pathology. Medical laboratory scientists function at the center of today's hospitals and research facilities. The two areas of emphasis are clinical laboratory science and histotechnology. Medical laboratory scientists are part of a dynamic, continually changing profession and are essential in the diagnosis of disease and monitoring of treatment. Carrying a slate blue banner offering the Master's degree in Occupational Therapy. Occupational therapists help people participate in the occupations or activities which individuals equate with health, well-being, security, and happiness. Occupational therapists work with people of all ages to restore their ability to do all those little things that matter most, be they work, self-care, or just having fun. Carrying a teal blue banner offering the doctoral degree in physical therapy. Physical therapists are movement specialists who use a hands-on approach to help individuals conquer pain, disease, or disability through the analysis and treatment of movement-related problems. Physical therapists apply scientific principles of human movement and healing to help people of all ages and levels of fitness maintain, improve, and restore mobility and function. Physical therapists work with people to empower them to obtain or rediscover moments they dream of achieving. And now, please welcome members of the Platform Party. Dr. Randy Briner, Interim Chairperson of the Division of Exercise Physiology, and Dr. John Hollander, Interim Vice Chairperson for Research and Graduate Education. Dr. John Barnett, Chairperson of the Department of Microbiology, Immunology, and Cell Biology, and Vice Chairperson for Education, Dr. Rosanna Schaefer. Dr. Michelle Butina, Vice Chairperson of Professional Education and Director of the Program in Medical Laboratory Science, and Kim Feaster, Director of the Program in Histotechnology. Dr. Ann Cronin, Interim Chairperson of the Division of Occupational Therapy. WVU Board of Governors member, Dr. Stan Heilman, Professor of Physiology and Pharmacology. Ron Suskind, today's commencement speaker. Dr. Mary Beth Mandich, Vice Dean for Professional Programs and Chairperson, Division of Physical Therapy. Carrying the mace, West Virginia University's Grand Marshal, Chad Proudfoot. And Vice President and Executive Dean for WVU Health Sciences, Dr. Clay Marsh, presiding officer of today's ceremony. Please rise for the singing of our national anthem performed by Katie Martin, and please remain standing for the singing of the Alma Mater. You may be seated.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Beth Mandich, Vice Dean for Professional Programs in the School of Medicine, and I would like to welcome today the graduates, the faculty who are here, the family and friends, and let me not be the first or last to wish all the moms in the audience a happy Mother's Day. Can't think of a better gift than this. In my day job, one of my responsibilities is to teach neurosciences to students in our programs. And I try very hard for the students to be excited about the neurosciences and to find applications to their lives and to future clinical practice. So they have a lot of out-of-class assignments. Last year, a student asked me if I had heard of how a father had used Disney film to communicate with his son who had autism. This led to my discovery of Ron Suskind and his book, Life Animated, A Story of Sidekicks, Heroes, and Autism, which tells the story of his own son, Owen. The book was subsequently made into an award-winning documentary film. Ron Suskind is a best-selling author and one of America's most treasured journalists. He holds a master's from Columbia in journalism, and he has chronicled the financial world for more than 25 years, including as senior national affairs writer for the Wall Street Journal, where in 1995 he won the Pulitzer Prize for feature writing. He is the author of 6 best-selling books, including the one I mentioned above. Reviewers say his works are frequently characterized by his passion for giving a voice to the voiceless. When not writing and speaking, Ron is a senior fellow at Harvard's Edmund J. Safra Center for Ethics, where he serves as a lecturer on narrative and justice. He is also the founder and CEO of Sidekicks for Autism, which provides parents with a free educational app to connect and communicate with their children who have autism. He is a very sought-after speaker, and we are so lucky to have him join us here today. Please give a warm Mountaineer welcome to Ron Suskind.
Thank you very much. Let me lower this. Can anyone see me behind this thing here? I am height challenged, but I am hope inspired. Hey, congratulations. Let me just say, you all picked well and you picked right in entering these healing professions. Let me tell you that. Because this nation, this world needs healing. So I'm thanking you in advance. And I think we should just have a moment here, a proper moment, to recognize the loveliness of the fact that we are doing this for the people who birth us and heal us and feed us and help us grow. I think we should just yell as loud as we can for the mothers of this world on this special day. Let's hear it for the moms. Come on. Now, mind you, I have to tell you, I'm an old guy and I live in a bit of a different time. And I was raised under a kind of motivational methodology by my mother. Now, my mother was a woman from Brooklyn about this tall. Looking at me, that's no real surprise, right? And she told me early on pretty much this: I won't love you any less if you're not a success. I just won't mention your name to other people, which is kind of true. It's kind of the way it works. You want to do something that makes them proud, right? It's America. But I got fortunate because I found other teachers as I grew. My father died when he was only 46 years old, and he wrote a letter to me and my brother from his deathbed. Now, he and my mom were quite different from each other. That dynamic is the key to everything in my life. And on this letter, he writes, at the end, after talking about how much he loves me and my brother, we're teenagers, how much he can't believe that you boys are my sons. I'm overwhelmed with joys beyond expression when I look at you. At the end of the letter, he says, but one thing I'll ask of you, please do something worthwhile with your lives. Don't compromise there. If you keep that the star at the center of your constellation, everything else will work in your life. Trust me. About a paragraph before that, he wrote something that we didn't really get as kids. we get it now. He said, "You boys don't owe me and your mother anything. You've given us more of being a presence in our life than we ever possibly could give to you." My mother disagrees with that almost at every level. "You owe me big, both of you. Everything you are, you owe me." She's right. They're both right. Which is why this is a day of enormous pride. There's no day like this in any society, in any civilization. You are here in a celebration of learning. Learning is light. It's the light of life. And you've done that in healing professions. Now look, I didn't know a lot about your world. It grows up in my lifetime. But after our son was diagnosed with autism, we sat down with the first doctor, and he says, "You're going to need someone called an OT." I'm like, "What's that? Like overtime, like in a basketball game?" "No, that's a profession." I said, "What?" "Well, occupational therapy." I said, "You mean like physical therapy?" "Well, not quite, a little different." And this doctor was wise. He says, "Trust me, these OTs will be crucial to your life." And they were. There's a whole gang of OTs and other folks in caring professions, as well as some exercise physiologists who were exercise trainers to our son, who got him up and running and doing. And every time he did, he felt different, truly different, and better. These are folks who helped us raise our kids, helped us raise our son. So, as you just heard from Mary Beth, the great twist of our story was that our son, Owen, was whacked with autism when he is 3 years old. He lost all speech, couldn't speak a word. But what he loved was what he loved before the autism was the Disney animated movies. And every kid loved it. It was 1988. Anyone here see the movie The Little Mermaid? Every person here, right? That was his favorite movie. He couldn't speak, but he watched The Mermaid over and over again. And we watched The Mermaid with him. And then all the other movies. And that's how he got speech back, because we realized he'd memorized 50 Disney animated movies, the whole things. If you threw him a line, he'd throw you back to the next line. Couldn't speak, but he could speak in dialogue. So that's how I became Mufasa. And Jiminy Cricket, Merlin, Rafiki, sidekicks. Now, I did some Mufasa. He's kind of a sidekick, but mostly I was Merlin, or Rafiki. Wrong again! I said that about 1,000 times. This is interesting. And let me get right to the core of a philosophy that our young friend invented, created. It'll be familiar to some of you here. He got whacked by life, thrown out of a bunch of schools, deemed uneducable. And he was bruised. He didn't have enough speech to tell us how he felt. But all of a sudden, he goes to the basement. He's 11 years old. He starts drawing like a maniac. He's got hyper-focus. He's on the autism spectrum. You know that from what you do. For every deficit, the brain creates an equal and opposite strength. That's the way it really works. Find it and feed it. His strength was hyper-focus. His visual acuity's off the charts. His pattern recognition, his memory, and he draws like an animator. So after he's thrown out of a school and he is desperately unhappy and whacked, I go down to the basement and I see he's drawn 100 pages. And I open the book and they're perfect. Sidekicks. Sebastian, Flounder, Merlin, Jiminy Cricket. There are 100 pages, all sidekicks, no heroes. The world has passed judgment and he's responding. The end of the book, 2 things are written. In a scrawl, he writes, "I am the protector of the sidekicks." And the last thing he writes, "No sidekick gets left behind." develop a philosophy. He develops it. We all become sidekicks. The whole house is the land of the lost sidekicks. You'll see it, it's all in the movie. You can get it on Amazon or iTunes. He gives us all sidekick identities. I'm either Merlin or Rafiki. My wife is either Big Mama from Fox and the Hound, with Pearl Bailey, or Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast. She's not that happy about Mrs. Potts, but it works. And we move forward. Over several years, he gets his speech back. He learns to read by reading credits and emerges as a unique young man in the world, seeing every week his OT, who becomes a member of our family. Let's jump to the finale of the story. Owen is probably the most famous autistic man in the world. Care of the community that helped raise him. Community based on the ideas that you've learned. So last year, we got an invitation to go to Rome. All right. Now, in case you're wondering, I'm Jewish. You may have already figured that out. My wife, Cornelia Kennedy, is Catholic. And her mother, daily communicant, away for a day, Holy Communion every day from her first Holy Communion to 82 years old. But the problem is her Jewish husband gave her bronchitis before the flights to Rome. So my wife had to stay home. So the two Jewish guys went to see the Pope. And there we are, heading up a conference. They said you may or may not meet the Pope, and then they say you are going to meet the Pope. So I'm actually wearing the shirt I wore to meet the Pope. I bought it in Italy. It costs about as much as a mortgage payment. Here, with the cuffs. Bought one for Owen, too. And on this glorious Saturday, the Pope addresses the group. And then he walks down. He comes out of there's a hall next to St. Peter's. And there's a little Harry Potter door he comes out of. Speaks to the group, says, you got things, you got earpieces, because I don't understand what he's saying. But then he comes down, he actually speaks some English. And he walks the first line where folks are pushed up to the front in case the Pope comes down to meet people. Now, 4 seats over from me is Katy Perry. I don't know what she's doing there, but she's there. I know. She's wearing an amazing outfit, too. I mean, this woman, she goes to the wardrobe department before she goes to get a quart of milk. Pope comes down, blesses Katie. A few more seats. Some old Catholics are about to die. Then he comes to us. And Owen looks at him as an autistic guy who's authentic, who can be nothing but authentic, which is a big part of what we teach, of what we try to do in the educational mission, is to help us arrive at authenticity. He's already there. He looks at the Pope the way people rarely look at the Pope, as just another dude. Pope clearly sees this. Two of them are looking at each other. I'm standing right here, they're right here. Then the Pope kind of leans in, they grab hands. And Owen says, the sidekick helps the hero fulfill their destiny. It's the most important role. The Pope says, really? And Owen says, and you're the great sidekick, because you help the world fulfill its destiny. And the Pope begins to cry. And Owen says, thank you on behalf of all the autistic people in the world, because we get this. And the Pope blesses Owen. Saying, you are beautiful. You are true. We each have the light of God in us. And it is our mission in this short life to have it shine as I am feeling it shine on this day. And at that point, I accepted Jesus as my personal Savior. Not really, but close. Cordelia's like, so are you coming over to my team now? When I say you picked right, you picked right, understanding just what the Pope just said to us. Helping others help themselves is a mission that will change the world. What do you have, about 14,000 people can sit in this place? In your lives, with the people you will touch, multiply this room times 100. Those are all the people you will touch in your life. As the folks like you touched us in our life. So I want to thank you in advance of all of those stadiums, folks who wait up ahead. You know, on Mother's Day, I think about getting to this age. What is it you really want your parents to tell you? Not a whole lot, right? Two things. I love you, and I'm proud of you. And on this day, everyone up there and all of us are saying that all together. We love you and we're proud of you. God bless you. Congrats.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy a performance of Simple Gifts.
It's now the time that we've all been waiting for to recognize the candidates who've met the requirements for graduation from the professional and undergraduate degree programs in the School of Medicine of West Virginia University. I invite Dr. Marsh to join me to congratulate the graduates.
I am pleased to present the West Virginia University School of Medicine Professional Programs graduating class of 2019. Graduates in exercise physiology, receiving the degree Masters of Science in Exercise Physiology and hooded by their Exercise Physiology Faculty Advisor, Jonathan Brager. Alexander Arthur Clay. Quinn Dolores Horder. Dallas Paul Kokoska. Stephen Murray. Matthew Corey Parsley. Recipient of the Outstanding Masters of Science Clinical Care Award, Bobby Rawls III. Samuel Rondi. Abigail Abby Lynn Tice. Receiving the degree Bachelor of Science in Exercise Physiology to be recognized by Dr. Randy Briner, Interim Chairperson, Division of Exercise Physiology, and Dr. John Hollander, Interim Vice Chairperson for Research and Graduate Education. Graduating summa cum laude, Exercise Physiology, Head Marshal Sarah Nicole Mitchell. Graduating summa cum laude, Exercise Physiology Marshal Hillary Beth Hayner. Graduating magna cum laude, Exercise Physiology Marshal Abundance Joy Squires Hunt. Graduating summa cum laude, Exercise Physiology Marshal Richard Nicholas Liberio. Graduating cum laude, Morgan Renee Adams. Graduating magna cum laude, Douglas Charles Andrews. Graduating summa cum laude, recipient of the Outstanding Undergraduate Scholar Award, Brandon Irvin Asher. Dominic Benedetto. Lauren Ann Bennett. Erica Lindsay Biggs. Sharon Brooke Mildred Blackstone. Cassidy Lynn Blankenship. Ryan Ryan Taylor Bowman. Ryan Edward Broderick. Charles Harry Albert Burrows. Graduating summa cum laude, Jared Hunter Butler. Laurel Ann Carpenter. Zachary Chapman. Graduating magna cum laude, Allison Elizabeth Clay. Graduating summa cum laude, Tyler Wayne Koblenz. Jonathan Paul Collins. Nathaniel Gage Cook. Victoria Marie Corside. Graduating summa cum laude, recipient of the Outstanding Undergraduate Senior Award, Haley Celeste Craig. Todd Hunter Kraus. Cameron Patrick Crowder. Megan Cruz. Graduating magna cum laude, Sydney Reed Dangut. Graduating cum laude, Samantha DiMartino. Emily Rose Duane. Graduating magna cum laude, Jeremy Todd Eccles. Graduating cum laude, Brandon Justin Fazolaire. Stacy Nicole Feeback. Graduating magna cum laude, Patricia Lilia Fernandez. Graduating magna cum laude, Emily Elizabeth Fillick. Vanessa Flores. Graduating cum laude, Tara Elizabeth Fogel. Natalie Marie Fowler. Hannah Brooke Fridley. Graduating cum laude, Jordan Alexandra Gillette. Graduating cum laude, Alexis Danielle Glassmeyer. Graduating cum laude, James Thaddeus Goots. Recipient of the Outstanding Undergraduate Research Award, Lance Allen Hare. Graduating cum laude, Tess Michaela Humberston. Deja Jones. Graduating summa cum laude, Joshua Matthew Douglas Kiefer. Kareem Kiami. Madison Koo. Megan Elizabeth Martin. Graduating cum laude. Graduating magna cum laude, Samuel Colombo Martino. Graduating magna cum laude, Justin Massey. Graduating cum laude, Hannah Jean Matlick. Graduating cum laude, John Reed McClure. Graduating cum laude, Kendall Turman McNeely. Graduating cum laude, Alexander Sean Miller. Graduating summa cum laude, Jacqueline Elizabeth Montag. Graduating magna cum laude, Griffin Reed Moon. Graduating cum laude, Abby Nicole Nabelski. Morgan Elizabeth Nixon. Graduating magna cum laude, Katrina Marie Pardee. Graduating magna cum laude, Lisa Bharat Patel. Tyra Payton. Austin Michael Perdue. Allison Pearl. Michaela Ann Pendle. Lucas Scott Powers. Carson Aurora Purcell. Emily Rose Reinhardt. Recipient of the Outstanding Aquatic Therapy Award, Allison Faith Robinson. Kyle Stephen Rogers. Graduating summa cum laude, Mary Caitlin Rossick. Graduating cum laude, Hunter Bradley Sadowski. Recipient of the Blades Scholarship Award, Alexandria Rose Sawakis. Amanda Lee Samon. Casey Ellen Schlochter. Graduating magna cum laude, Chase Thomas Shank. Grace Elise Stonecker. Kevin Richard Steele. Bianca St. George. Michael Joseph Streetbeck. Miranda Renee Thompson. Graduating magna cum laude, Mason Garrett Tincher. Graduating summa cum laude, Garrett Anthony Volk. Graduating summa cum laude, Kayla Madison Vaughn. Matthew Vueslick. Brady Anthony Watson. Graduating magna cum laude, Dakota Lee Watson. Graduating summa cum laude, Logan Ray Webb. Sabrina Ashley Weichel. Matthew Wehrhoff Jr. Graduating cum laude, Caitlin Megan West. Sierra Brooke Westfall. Kirsten Elizabeth White. Graduating summa cum laude, John Byron Wilfong III. Graduating summa cum laude, Sean Michael Warricks. Graduating magna cum laude, Rachel Fallon Wright. David Jackson Roth. Graduates in immunology and medical microbiology, receiving the degree Bachelor of Science in Immunology and Medical Microbiology, to be recognized by Dr. John Barnett and Dr. Rosanna Schaefer. Graduating cum laude, Immunology and Medical Microbiology, Marshall Courtney Danielle Ammond. Sean Nicole Bittinger. Graduating magna cum laude, Eliana Marie Cook. Matthew William Deucepole. Graduating magna cum laude, Sebastian Jadovich. Morgan Elizabeth Garrett. Graduating cum laude, Kerrigan Ann Mulhall. Graduating summa cum laude, Order of Augusta recipient and Rhodes Scholar finalist, Andrea Elizabeth Pettit. Graduating summa cum laude, Ali Ranjbaran. Graduating summa cum laude, WVU Outstanding Senior, Abigail Taylor Rosiello. Robert David Rossler. Graduating cum laude, Samuel Benjamin Sweet. Graduating cum laude, Matthew Taylor Vero. Graduates in Medical Laboratory Science. Receiving the degree Bachelor of Science in Medical Laboratory Science, emphasis in Clinical Laboratory Science, to be recognized by Dr. Michelle Butina and Kim Feaster. Graduating cum laude, Medical Laboratory Science, Marshall Brooklyn Nicole Metter. Amber Lynn Adair. Benjamin Aucoin. Graduating magna cum laude, Angela Barnes. Graduating cum laude, Emily Nicole Bly. Graduating cum laude, Jacob Lee Boyce. Graduating cum laude, Ainsley Blythe Chevront. Graduating cum laude, Megan Arlene Ernest. Jenny Elizabeth Freitas. Graduating magna cum laude, Carolina Frigato. Graduating summa cum laude, Allison Page Fritz. Nicholas Dutton Godlove. Elisa Celia Gornstein. Graduating magna cum laude, recipient of the Histotechnology Achievement Award, Kelsey Holben. Graduating magna cum laude, Nicholas Alexander Jones. Marcus Lawrence. Ryan Scott Linhart. Michaela Ray Murin. Graduating magna cum laude, Hunter Neely. Brian Dana Riley. Taraner Rushendale. Paige Mackenzie Shriver. Graduating magna cum laude, recipient of the Clinical Laboratory Science Achievement Award, Sarah Mackenzie Shoemate. Dylan D. Thomas. Andrea Weiskircher. Receiving the degree of Master of Occupational Therapy to be hooded by Dr. Ann Cronin. Occupational Therapy Marshal, recipient of the Community Outreach Award and president of the class of 2019, Andrea Elizabeth Ormsby. Megan Brooke Abe. Caitlin Jean Ainsworth. Amanda Diane Bennett. Caitlin Christine Biodre. Samuel Eli Brookover. Bethany Noel Bryant. Erin Elizabeth Burgess. Recipient of the Occupational Therapy Mountaineer Award, Whitney Brooke Chafin. Cassandra Francis Clevenger. Recipient of the Elizabeth Devereaux Leadership Award, Sarah Elizabeth Cook. Samuel David Krickenberger. Ashley Ann Culacerto. Colin Michael Donadue. Hannah Hartley Dobson. Recipient of the Innovation in Research Award, Joseph Christopher Gagliardo. Recipient of the Community Outreach Award, Rachel Ann Goffenbaugh. Emily Page Glover. Kennedy Nicole Kidder. Haley Ann Krug. Recipient of the Academic Achievement Award, Kelsey May Long. Jessica Ruth Lohman. Samantha Erin Martin. Amy Rose Mason. Madeline Barashon Meglich. Aaron Scott Moore. Emily Nicole Perrell. Renee Ayola Phillips. Evan Quinn Pivant. Jordan Blair Rigney. Charlotte Ford Rouse. Leah Jones Rouse. Brooke Ann Samaritano. Recipient of the Mary Hager Award and Community Outreach Award, Taylor Anna Louise Skelton. Hunter Morgan Sodero. Marissa Leanne Stoffel. Brittany Marie Wellings. Alexis Lauren Wheeler. Haley Elizabeth Wise. Graduates in Human Performance and Health, completing 2 years of the professional curriculum in occupational therapy and receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree in Human Performance and Health, recognized by Dr. Ann Cronin, graduating magna cum laude, Leah Marie Jeffrey. Graduating magna cum laude, Marina Ann Stasak. Graduates in Physical Therapy, receiving the degree of Doctor of Physical Therapy, hooded by Dr. Mary Beth Mandich. Recipient of the Outstanding Academic Achievement and Patronus Award for Outstanding Performance on the Comprehensive Exam, Physical Therapy Marshal, President of the Class of 2019, Stephanie Michelle Magnon. Brock Daniel Athey. Recipient of the Stauber Student Research Award, Kyle Gregory Blair. Leah Erin Brandenburg. Madeline Jean Bridgman. Antonia Lynn Brooks. Mary Beth Bullris. Ashton Lee Clevenger. Recipient of the Patronus Award for Outstanding Performance on the Comprehensive Exam, Leanne Comersey. Caitlin Janelle Crutchfield. Recipient of the Outstanding Academic Achievement Award, Alexandra Marie Dickerson. Maggie Lauren Dufault. Recipient of the Outstanding Student Clinician Award, Alexis Dunn. Kylie Amanda Garner. Kylie Christine Gear. Ashley Elizabeth Green. Hannah Nicole Grove. Michael Stephen Hall. Kylie Page Hammer. James Caleb Higginson. Lauren Nicole Hogan. Recipient of the Stauber Student Research Award, Logan Alexander Captis. Recipient of the Stauber Student Research Award, Jacob Edwin Keating. Rachel Elizabeth Klimas. Madison Ray Lammers. Stephen Charles McCrory. Recipient of the Outstanding Student Clinician Award, Kristen Zirkle McDonald. Danielle Lee McGinnis. Brady Elijah Nolan. Vivek Patel. Courtney Page Pitel. Whitney Nicole Popkins. Recipient of the Outstanding Academic Achievement Award, Caleb Lee Rhodes. Garrett Dalton Simmons. Alex Michael Sinacrope. Alexander Christopher Smith. Corey Dean Thomas. Rebecca Jean Vlahos. Abigail Foreman Vorholt. Recipient of the Dave Pariser Leadership Award, Caitlin Marie Warner. David George Wegert. Jade Lene Wharton. Recipient of the Stauber Student Research Award, Andrew Lewis Wright. Mallory Ann Zinn. Dr. Marsh, this concludes the presentation of the candidates for graduation.
So congratulations, but we're not quite finished yet. And in deference to the importance of the day, I'm going to limit my comments to 60 minutes. A little shorter than that. So I'm thinking for such an esteemed audience, what should I talk about? What academic subject should I try to broach? And I thought long and hard and looked up a lot of things and decided I wanted to talk about Game of Thrones. We have 2 episodes left and many predictions, but we're going to find out soon. And Game of Thrones is really an exemplar of what Joseph Campbell defined as the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is really a very predictable set of happenings that happens with each hero's story, whether that's Star Wars and Luke Skywalker, or The Wizard of Oz and Dorothy, or the Game of Thrones and Jon Snow. The hero generally starts off in a very isolated, a very restricted environment. And it's really interesting that this adventure storyline, which is now used in many of the screenplays in Hollywood that Ron would know very, very well, is really about the hero's growth from being very restricted and alone to being part of something much bigger, and going through a series of adventures and challenges and finding their purpose. And in fact, the important reason I believe why the hero's journey resonates with so many of us, because the true hero's journey is not the journey without. The true hero's journey is the journey within. And that is all of our journeys through our lives. So I want to talk in the next few minutes about some thoughts I might have for our soon-to-be newest graduates, and also thoughts about that may help people in the audience. Because our own hero's journey is our own journey to finding ourselves, to getting rid of the noise in our life like Owen, Ron's son, does, and getting to the signal. Atonement means at one moment. And disease comes from dis-ease. And when we think about our world, so much of the time we feel stressed. We learn to win, to battle, to fight, the war on cancer, the battle in heart disease. But in fact, if we look at every natural system doesn't compete to thrive, it cooperates. And so as you're starting your own hero's journey, find your purpose, find your why. Not the why for the big organization, but why you get up in the morning. And one of my favorite stories is the starfish story that maybe people have heard here, but if not, I'll tell it quickly. Little boy's walking down the beach and sees a whole bunch of starfish that have washed up, and he starts to put those starfish back in the ocean to save them one by one. An older gentleman walks down and starts to look at the little boy and this vast number of starfish and says to the little boy, "You're wasting your time. You'll never get all those starfish back in the ocean." And the little boy looks at him and says, "Maybe not, but for the ones that I do, it will make a large difference." So remember, you can always help the person right in front of you. And in fact, if we help one, maybe we help all. The Sufi poet Rumi said, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are an ocean in a drop." So we should live our lives with great purpose. We should look at our problems as great adventures and learning opportunities, and maybe that's the difference between happy people and unhappy people, because we know that mastery happens from 10,000 hours of practice. That means doing things and making mistakes and not getting it right over and over and over again. Steve Jobs, the famous CEO of Apple, said that the secret to success in life is pure persistence. So as we go and we have great purpose and we look at our life and dare to take the risks that we need to reach our dreams, then we also need to find our friends. Because friends on the great adventure, whether it's the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion with Dorothy, or whether it's Harry Potter's gang, are important elements to the success that we have. And we know that in fact having great friends and having great purpose and looking at life this way helps us live longer. The Nobel Prize winner Angus Deaton found that people today, 45 to 55-year-old non-Hispanic whites, high school education or less, are dying at a rate that we haven't seen since the peak of the AIDS epidemic. And they're dying of hopelessness and despair. They're dying of fear. They're dying of the feeling that they don't matter, that they're a speck on the beach of our universe. But in fact, I'm going to argue to you, like Dorothy, that when you start on your own hero's journey and get through the adventures and find your friends, you'll find out that you had all of what you need the whole time. You just haven't realized it yet. And so the end of the hero's journey is to break down the barriers and understand that we're really not small, insignificant specks of dust in the ocean of time, but in fact, we're part of the universe. We're made of the stardust. To take Owen's perspective that either none of us are sidekicks or all of us are sidekicks, because as the Indian greeting, Namaste, is translated, it means the light in me recognizes the light in you, which exists in all of us. The root word of health, which we spend a lot of time on, is HAL, H-A-L. It is also the root word of holy. It's also the root word of heal. And in fact, our hero's journey, I believe, is the journey to find ourselves and be completed. Because we know that the average lottery winner is less happy and fulfilled than the average person. Now, some people would say, give me a shot at that. I'll try it and see if it's as bad as you say. But nonetheless, that's the data. And people that survive a life-threatening illness are happier than the average person. I'm a critical care physician, and I've been with a lot of people when they've died. And nobody ever wishes for another day at work or another project to be done. They would love to have another walk outside, another meal with their family, another opportunity to feel the breeze on their face. And ironically, we all have that ability every single day and almost never see that as the miracle that it is. Somebody in the Huffington Post wrote an article and said, what are the odds against you being you and me being me and us being here together? And that is 10 to the 2,640,000th power. That's 10 times 10 times 10, 2,640,000 times. It is impossible, yet here we are. So maybe instead of being so focused on the noise in our lives, the problems, the lack of likes on your last Facebook post or whatever it is, the fear, maybe we should get back to who we really are, which is love. And the love that we have for you here and about to graduate, and the love that's here in this room, and the miracle and the privilege of being here together is something that can never be done by any amount of money, although we do appreciate your tuition. No, I'm kidding. But the point is that the priceless gifts are always the one inside. And with that, I want to wish the moms a very, very happy Mother's Day. I want to say to the graduates that wherever your country road winds, know that we are always your home. And whether you wear a Flying WV on your coat, on your shirt, we hope you keep it in your heart. Godspeed, class of 2019. And now it's show time. Stand up. Graduates, by the virtue of the authority vested in me by the West Virginia University Board of Governors, I hereby confer upon you the degrees for which you have been recommended, with all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. If you have received a baccalaureate degree, you can now move your tassel to the left as a sign of your accomplishment. Parents, family, friends, faculty, staff, visitors, please join me in congratulating our newest graduates. Okay, keep standing. In about 4.5 minutes, we will exit. Platform party and the students go first. I would suggest that everybody else in the audience feel free to stand up and join in. You guys, it's fine.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Minus lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, missed a taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eyes. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning hours. She calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving